Hello, this is Carol Traupman-Carr, your host for On the Musical Road to Emmaus. I recently asked a deacon from our church if I could interview him about how to prepare for Lent. And we weren't able to get together for the very start of Lent or before Lent. But his conversation about his road to becoming a deacon was a whole podcast in itself. And so what I've done is split that interview into 2 episodes. I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of On the Musical Road to Emmaus. I am recording today from St. Anne's Church in Emmaus, my home parish. You've heard me refer to it a lot, and I'm sitting here today with Deacon Ben Servagno. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you, Carol.
Ben, I have known you for a long time. Our daughters went to St. Anne's School together, and I would often encounter your wife at the bus stop when we missed our bus.
That's right.
Yeah, they were in the same grade, so they spent 9 years together and then went to separate high schools. But you've been a member of our parish, and recently, in the course of your life, going on 2 years? Almost? Year and a half. Yep. You were ordained as a deacon in our church.
Praise God.
Yes, and thank you for that very important service to our community and to the Catholic Church. Before we get into the topic for today, I'll say du jour because I'm on my way to Paris. Tell me about your journey. You went to graduate school, you have a professional degree, you have a profession. What led you to decide to be a deacon?
Decide is a generous word.
Okay.
And ironically, I began to think, I was like, wow, you're sitting in the exact same spot that this journey actually started.
Wow.
In 2007. No joke. So I hadn't been in church I was married, right? So in 1995. So I was in church then, but I was not in church.
Well, we were married the same year.
Yeah. I know. God is funny, isn't he?
Yeah.
He has a pretty cool sense of humor at times when you're looking for it. So I was not in the church. I hadn't been to confession in 30 plus years. If the measurement is a creaster, I failed at that. And so it was funny, my son was making his first Holy Communion, and my wife was invited by her sister, she works for the J.W. Merit, to go on this all-expense-paid 40th birthday party to one of the islands in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So I put a lot of emphasis on my diaconate on her, or maybe it was my sister-in-law who did this. She asked me 2 requests. Mm-hmm. Please don't forget to feed the children. Mm-hmm. And my question to her then was, how will I know when it's time for them to eat?
Yikes.
And she explained, they'll let you know.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, well, I can deal with that. And the other is, you need to take Santino to church on the weekend. And my head started spinning, like, how can I get somebody to take him? No joke. Mm-hmm. So anyway, one of her girlfriends, I always say to this day, they were in cahoots, called and said, hey, why don't you drop off Sophia, our younger daughter, who would have been 4 at that time, right?
Same age as my daughter, yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make you dinner. I go, 2 for 1 deal. Okay, I like this. And then I figured out, okay, hey, Edie, I got a great idea. I'll watch Sophia, drop off Santino, you take him to the Vigil Mass. Mm-hmm. And she goes, no, I like my plan better.
Mm-hmm. I know exactly who you're talking about, too. Yes. Also members of our parish.
This is why there was contriving here, I'm sure.
Yes.
Right. Like, make sure the kids don't starve this week. Anyway, long story short, or I'll try anyway, I brought Santino to Mass that Saturday evening, and a former pastor here, who I did not know, Father Brensinger, was the presider at the Mass. Mm-hmm. Right. So anyway, this incredible sense of like, I don't like this guy. And then turning to anger. I really don't like this guy. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm like, why don't you like him? And why are you even paying attention to him?
Because you haven't cared for 30 years, right? So, no.
Exactly my point. Yes. See, you're catching the gist. So it bothered me. And when we went to dinner, she asked me, and of course I shared honestly that, hey, I don't know who that new guy is. She's like, well, he's been there a few years, but okay, we'll bypass that. Why don't you like him? I don't know. It was just what he was talking about, how he was saying it, whatever, and it would be months after that. Finally, my head goes, why do you care? I mean, really, why is this bothering you? And by the way, what is wrong with you that this would even bother you? So I literally called him up because Edie at dinner had told me he's a spiritual director, which I had no idea what those words meant. And I said, look, I think I need to talk to you. I mean, I know you're a priest and you talk to people. But for some reason, I don't like you.
That's a nice way to,
Introduce
bond.
yourself?
Yeah.
Create a friendship? Yes.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, maybe we should talk about that. I'm like, wow, this dude took it very well, right? I know I would say, well, you don't like me and you want to talk to me? What's your point? But he was very inviting. And so it would have been February in 2007 that in this room it began. Because after discussions with him, the weeks on weeks we would talk, I started to learn what a spiritual director was, although he wasn't my spiritual director. After just grilling him with the theology that I knew from college, which was very little, he said, you've asked me a lot of things, and they were all very good. But there's one topic you have not talked about. In one of the sacraments you have not broached.
And I'm guessing that was confession.
There you go. And he said, at a long discussion, he said, well, here's the thing. You're not just confessing to me, because I sit as Personi Christi. You're confessing to the church and to all the people that you've hurt in your life.
Interesting. I have never heard that perspective, but go on.
Well,
I'm going to ponder that one later. Please.
Yes. And what happened was I just fell apart. Like all the people, he goes, every single soul you've ever hurt. And I realized, whoa, this is a totally different perspective than what I had grown up in CCD.
Yeah.
And so anyway, long story short, I came over here the day we were supposed to do confession, considering what I knew, we were going to go into the box over there, right, in the church. And I'm praying to Mary, not knowing how to do the rosary, by the way. I don't know how to do the rosary, but I'm doing the rosary because I'm thinking...
It's a lot of Hail Marys.
Yeah, right. I could do this. And I'm waiting, and then I'm getting angrier because he's not showing up. And as much as I know how to do a rosary, I think I finished it. Finally, I called him, and he goes, let's meet over in the rectory, which I thought you needed the box to do this. And we sat in the sunroom in there.
Nice space, yes.
Beautiful space. And I sat in front of him thinking, this is so bizarre. I'm sitting in front of this priest telling him my sins.
And in this space that you weren't expecting. And
not at all.
A very comfortable space and bright, unlike the confessionals you've probably been in the past.
Exactly. Very good perception, Carol. Yes. And 2 hours and 45 minutes later, we went through the 10 Commandments. It was brutal, and yet filled with such grace that even now I look back at it and go, wow, dude, God is so amazing. Anyway, he invited me to go to Cursillo.
Now, for our listeners, what is Cursillo?
It comes from Portugal or somewhere in Spain. I can't remember the name, and it means short course in Christianity.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I made this Cursillo weekend. So it starts on a Thursday evening, ends on Sunday afternoon, and my world got rocked. And that's the greatest understatement I can use, because literally it was then that I heard the first time you're to be like him. So Cursillo is designed to listen to speakers. There are spiritual talks, which are run by the deacon and the priest, and then there are talks run by lay people. And it's meant to deepen our understanding of the Gospels, deepen our understanding of community. And it was the funniest thing because he said to me, like, I'm asking, what do I bring? What do I need? He goes, bring nothing but yourself. And I literally did that. Literally brought nothing but myself. Had no expectations because I've got no practice in Catholicism other than CCD. And as this gentleman was speaking, who was so articulate, oh my gosh, I'm going, you're one heck of a speaker. Man, you got me hook, line, and sinker, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
But it piqued your interest, it touched something in your heart and in your mind, and he was engaging, right? So you weren't bored by what he was saying.
No. And the engagement led to this crazy voice in my head, not saying, I don't like this guy, but saying, you're to be like him.
And just for the record, I happen to know that you really liked Rich Brensinger now.
Very much so.
Yes.
After 10 years as my spiritual director, yes.
Yes.
I respect him immensely, like, truly, he's my third brother.
Yeah.
Truly.
He's still in the diocese, and if I recall, he's connected with Catholic on the campuses in the diocese.
Yeah. And now he's stationed at St. Francis of Assisi in Allentown.
Yes. And I think he does work at Muhlenberg College, which is not far from there.
So anyway,
I'm going to have to do a podcast with Father Rich now.
Yes, you do. Actually, yes. Just don't bring me up. Okay. First thing I go, okay, like, he's a good public speaker. I don't do public speaking. Wait a minute. Who am I talking to? Dude, you're talking to yourself. What is wrong with you? So I kind of tried to dismiss it. Kind of tried. And then, he spoke again. Because the priests have so many spiritual talks, and the deacon has so many spiritual talks. So I'm hearing him, and I'm like, who is this guy? And it's like the thing that was bothering me with Father Brensker. Now it's like just the opposite, going, who are you talking to, man? It's not an emotion. It's like you're listening to voices. You're a scientist. This doesn't happen.
And I think to that point, a lot of what people who are well educated and interested in science struggle with in their faith anywhere is, I'm so used to proving a theorem, I'm so used to following things logically to the end, and I can't see the end, I can't determine the logic, I can't prove this, and yet we choose to believe.
It's faith.
Yes.
It's faith.
Yes.
Very eloquently prefaced. Thank you. So just for the heck of it, I asked, hey, who is this guy? And somebody said he's a deacon. I go, what's a deacon? And they're looking at me like, in the church. Yeah, I figured. So they tried to explain it to me, and anyway, that was 2007, and here I am in 2026. That was the journey. It was... the
voice kept getting louder and more persistent, and you finally figured it out.
Well, the Cursillo is a conversation in itself, to be honest with you.
Yes.
But the preface that undergirded the entirety of the Cursillo is what made me pursue this. Because it's what you just described before. That when you're open to God, He can do pretty amazing things in your life.
Yeah.
Even this morning, as I'm up there and I'm praying for all these souls, and I realize I get to touch the blood of Christ. I get to touch Jesus. I realize you have a great responsibility. Start paying more attention to this. I'm speaking to you in it, and you're speaking to me through it. So the power of the diaconate, I realized, is so well beyond me. I can't comprehend it. I just got to trust it.
Yeah.
Back to the faith.
Yeah. Even on a different level, I 33 years ago, I took this job at St. Anne's because I needed more money.
Right.
And I was Catholic, and I knew music. And I actually took 2 choir jobs. I don't know if I told you this.
No.
But when I first moved back, I had a part-time job. I was ABD with my dissertation. I was working on my dissertation. Moravian College at the time asked me if I would come back to redo their curricula in music history. They said, but it's part-time and we can't offer you benefits. And I was like, teaching middle school at the time. I was like, let's see, middle schoolers or college students? And I took the job. And there is a special place in heaven for middle school teachers. It really is. And middle school parents. But anyway, so I took these 2 choir jobs, one at the church where I grew up, and one here. And I really didn't know this parish at all. I knew of it a little bit. My mom had a cousin who went to this parish. I knew nothing really about it. And so I was doing Wednesday night rehearsal here, Thursday night at my other parish, Saturday night folk group there, and Sunday morning mass here. And I just fell in love with this community, and this was, I think, really where I was meant to be. And I ended up quitting the other job in 6 months. It wasn't a good fit.
Right.
I thought that would be the easy one because I grew up there,
right.
But I had it wrong. And so I went from a place where I needed extra money to pay my bills to a place where I can't imagine my life without it. And I do feel an obligation. After many years, I've come to the realization that, yes, I've picked music that works with the readings and works with the season, and I pay attention to that. And I'm like, oh, there's a theme here about trust. I should do an anthem about trust or music. But now I really try to dig into the music with the members of the choir. I mean, I am a teacher. The other day we had this great moment. We were preparing an anthem for Good Friday, and it's a beautiful anthem that we've done before. And it kind of reenacts the passion and the death of Christ. Christ on the cross, the Lamb is crucified, and talks about it. And I paused and I said, there's two places in here that rub me the wrong way because they talk about hope has died and there's always hope in the Lord. And then there's another place I said this, and the choir stopped and a choir member said, maybe we should look at it as we're actually present in that moment at the Good Friday. And we all had this aha moment. And I said, okay, let's sing it again, not as people 2,000 years after the fact. Well, we know that hope hasn't died, and we know that this has happened. Let's put ourselves in the crowd on Good Friday and imagine the emotions there. Imagine that we are followers of Jesus. We don't really know that the resurrection is coming. And it was just one of those sort of aha moments that I think was really inspired by God. And that's the kind of stuff that I now feel an obligation to engage the choir in really thinking deeply about what we're singing, liturgically and sort of theologically, even though I'm not trained that way. But I pay attention, and I've done some reading, and to open it up for them to share that.
Yes.
And these are, really, I think, moments that help to enhance our faith, but also to help us to understand why this ministry exists for the church.
And it is a wonderful ministry. You can always tell by the applause.
Well, I don't acknowledge any of the applause except Christmas and Easter. So, anyway.
But no, I think that's extremely enriching into the entirety of one's journey, because God works in very mysterious ways. I can tell you, when I told my wife, look, I got to tell you something. This is after the course. I got to tell you something. And it's not that she didn't believe, but she didn't take it well. She had to digest it a little bit. It took her a while to chew it over, because she's looking at this. I wasn't even a good agnostic, right? And she's like, you're going to do what? I go, no. I'm not going to do anything, but I'm just telling you. And here's the thing. Well, I knew it was real because of what would happen on the third day, which, again, that's a topic for another conversation. But the year later, not only did my wife do the Cursillo, my mother-in-law did the Cursillo, another parishioner from here did the Cursillo, my father-in-law did the Cursillo, and my wife said, and I quote, I had to come see this for myself, because the man who came back was an alien I never seen before. I know who left, I just didn't know who this guy was who came back. I mean, we're married, and I know he's my husband, but...
It's some odd clone of him.
Yes. So I had to come see for myself, right? And so I see it now. I look back and go, wow, dude, man, you touched a lot of souls. You touched a lot of hearts. And you were in your own family. So obviously they were seeing, this must be real. There must be something real happening here. And when I would try to share the stories about this weekend, there was just like, wait, you really are an alien.
Or was the old Ben an alien?
Oh, very good, Carol. There you go.
You were in your cocoon the whole time,
right?
waiting for that metamorphosis.
There you go. Very good, yes. It would take a while. I was denied a lot of times, numerous times. Not as much as some of my brothers that I was ordained with, Some of them got knocked down a lot of times as well.
Had to wait until everything was aligned the right way.
Exactly, yeah. That was the exact truth. And so then all the things that went against it were, I see it now and just realize, they were part of God's, as we spoke about, his allowances, right? Because it was meant to empower all of us. And of course, for me, I could see it really clearly. Like mine was a spiritual battle of, wait, do you really want me to do this? Because everything is coming against it.
There are so many things in our earthly existence that easily put obstacles in the path of following God, as I am learning also as I'm doing my Ignatian course. And, whether they're from Satan or whatever, the obstacles are numerous. For our listeners, you said, as we spoke about this was a conversation that we had yesterday, the allowances. So I'm going to ask you to share that for our listeners. So you and I were talking on the phone yesterday as we were arranging this, and I said that I had been reading the Lord's Prayer, saying the Lord's Prayer as in rote forever, because it's like one of the first prayers you learn as a little kid. And you say it at Mass, every single Mass. And then I suddenly paused just about a week or two ago, and I was like, wait a second. And lead us not into temptation? Why in the world would God lead us into temptation? That makes no sense to me at all. And I asked you that, so share with me what your answer was.
My present spiritual director many years ago taught me more of the direct translation of the Our Father.
From the Aramaic.
From the Aramaic. And it's actually spare us our trials.
Which makes a lot more sense when you think about it in not only in that phrase in isolation, but also in the context of the entire prayer.
There you go. Yeah. And when he taught me that, I'm thinking, whoa, that really changes a lot of the meaning of this. And there's more to it, but let's stay specific to that. So a few weeks ago, we had spiritual direction, and I was really struggling with this idea of heaven and hell, this battle between heaven and hell here on earth. And I said, evil is from the devil. I don't understand why we're struggling with this. He goes, not everything is from the devil. I go, Father, that makes no sense. And I mean, I understand. And by the way, you're from the Byzantine Rite, so you know everything is a battle between heaven and hell. And you understand that depth of that spirituality, but how can you say that it's not? And then, this click went in like Job. Did not Satan ask God? And God said, but you are not to touch him, right? So he has to get permission. Anything, in everything. In the smallest nuances of our lives, Satan has to ask. For any of his minions that are going to come and annoy us, he has to ask God for that permission. That being said, God has to allow it.
And so what flows from that then is that God allows these trials, these tribulations, these temptations to sort of see what we choose, but also to allow for our own spiritual growth.
Very, very in-depth insight. Yes, you nailed it. Now, it didn't settle in my head.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get my head and my heart to line up with this, because my head was scientifically trying to say, but evil's in it, okay? I'm not following this. So ironically, I can't recall where I was driving, doing a rosary, and I find such clarity when I do the rosary. And now I know how to do it, by the way, just for our listeners. They know I do know how to do it now.
There's a little more than the Hail Marys, but the Hail Marys are sort of right central to that. Yes.
Right. So I just wanted everybody to know that, I got it now. Since I was a deacon, I figured it out. I got it. But I found that it's a very powerful prayer. Anyone who tries to diminish the power that comes through the grace of our mother, the daughter of God and the spouse of God, is foolish, because her very existence is literally encircled in the loop of grace in the mystery of the Trinity itself.
Oh, Hail Mary, full of grace, we
there
say.
We go.
Yeah.
Right.
I struggle with the concept of hell as well, and I was just reading in the readings for my class the parable about the rich man and Lazarus. They both die, and Lazarus goes to heaven, and he's surrounded by the angels, and everything he needs is taken care of, and the rich man is down in the pit of hell with fire and brimstone and all of those horrible visions of hell. And then there's the chasm between them, right? And I'm thinking, God must have created hell then too, right?
why would God create hell? And God created that which became Satan. And why did he do that? Why did he allow for that to happen? And then yesterday I was reading St. Ignatius's vision of hell. And he was in the Renaissance, and this vision of hell really fits with that time. And again, I'm thinking, like, does the fire and brimstone and all that really exist? Is that really what God created? Or when we think about, and I'll have to share with you the exact language that I was writing in my journal, or is it that when we die and go to heaven, if we go to heaven, that we have nothing but happiness, and we have no more pain and no more suffering and no more misery, and we don't have to worry about money and all of those things. And hell is just the complete and utter absence of all of it, including no sight, no sound, no touch, no love, no people. It's like, to me, that would be hell, to have nothing that provided me with that happiness. I hope I don't find out either way.
Makes two of us.
But either way, I was sort of wondering, like, so, wow, why would God even allow for Satan to happen? Why would he allow for hell instead of just having a nothingness? I don't expect you to have an answer, but anyway, just sharing one of my ponderings with you.
Well, I believe a part of that ties into that clarity that I finally got. Mm-hmm. And I literally called my spiritual director and said, I think I finally was given it. Mm-hmm. And he politely listened. Mm-hmm. First asked, what are we talking about? I was reminding him about...
Because you have so many questions, Ben. Like, so which one was this?
Unfortunately for him, man, talk about grace-filled, yes. Very much like Father Brensinger. He just kind of goes with me. He knows I'm coming at him like a machine gun at times, or a Gatling gun at times. Mm-hmm. I said, when we talked about centering on Job and God's allowing evil, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, okay. I go, so I got this vision of a little child getting his allowance from his parents. And he goes, okay, the allowance came from God. Mm. Just like the parents were granted an allowance through work, whatever, however they make their means for us, to support us and themselves, and then they give it to us. Mm-hmm. It's allowance. And the beautiful image of that is thinking about this is there's this cycle that comes through God to whomever else is sharing it with us, and then it's given to us. And then we're to give it on, the blessings, God's graces. So, in the evil, as we see it, because we're human,
right,
and our nature is broken, we see it as an evil. But it's coming from God in the sense that he's allowing it, and through it come the allowances of grace.
And we have the grace also of free will,
exactly,
to use however we choose, and there's a consequence to the choices.
Bingo. Spare us our trials. But yet, thy will be done, not mine. Why? Because God knows exactly what we need, even though we can't see it. So the enrichment comes from the openness, which is difficult. It's really, I can tell you, one of my prayers is, Lord, may I do better today than I did yesterday. Because I know I can't count the number of blessings and graces I've missed this day.
Or at least no worse than yesterday.
Oh, I like that. That's better. No worse than, let me not do worse than yesterday. That might be an addendum to my prayer.
Deacon Servagno and I spoke for another half an hour, and we finally got around to the topic of how do we prepare for Lent. And so I'm going to stop this episode right here and leave you hanging a little bit to hear the second part of our conversation. How do we prepare for Lent? This is your host, Carol Traupman-Carr, signing off on another episode of On the Musical Road to Emmaus. God bless.